Yeah. So, you ready? Yeah. Mr. Matt Berry.
Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
So we're going to start by going back into Matt's life before he had a career, because he was at Trent University in Nottingham. There's more here tonight. I mean, God, you should have been at Nottingham.
I tried!
Don't matter, you're in now.
Yes. So he was doing contemporary art.
Yeah.
And he passed. He got a Desmond though.
I got a 2-2 by the skin of my ass. Which, if I'd have known that last year, or was it the year before, I was given an honorary doctorate. Doctor of the Arts. And if I'd have known that back in 1995, I wouldn't have done a fucking strike.
So, you know, there was young Matt, and you've got to earn money, haven't you?
Yeah. So
what did you do?
So I wanted to paint and continue to do that, but what I really wanted to do was do music, which I was doing while I was at college. And the most important thing was I knew what I didn't want to do more than anything else, and that was to get a real job. So I did everything in my power to not get a real job. And I temped, and one of the places I temped was somewhere called the London Dungeon.
Don't laugh, it's a job.
No, but it was ridiculous. So, I mean, I don't know if you know that place or know of anywhere like it. Is there somewhere like that in Liverpool? Is there a Liverpool dungeon or anything?
Blackpool.
Oh, yeah. There's one in Edinburgh, yeah. What did you say? Birkenhead is someone saying. So, what I used to do there was, in the morning you were Jack the Ripper, and in the evening you were the judge. But the interesting thing about it was, I'd never performed before, never even thought about it, didn't have any interest, didn't even give it a second's thought. And I would watch the other actors, and they would do these same jokes, and some of them would nail them, and some of them really wouldn't. And there'd be these deathly silences after their sort of joke. And I thought that was interesting, and I kind of worked out why. And it may sound obvious now, but I didn't know at the time. It was all obviously to do with timing. That was so important. And I'll give you for instance, there was this joke that you did as the judge, and everyone did it. I wouldn't do this now, in this day and age, so you know, give me a chance here. So, you would be sat in the judge's box, just pick any like random punter that was down there, go, "You, get in the dog." And they get in the dog. "Where are you from?" "France." "Guilty?" And that simple little joke, you'd be amazed at how many people fucked that up. And that's what I watched, and that was, you know, how I got into sort of performance. And I can honestly say up until that point, never like crossed my mind. And in the evenings, I was doing open mic, singer-songwriter, and acoustic guitar, and I was doing that for a couple of years. And I didn't know anyone who ran their own club, because I was going to these shitty little clubs, you know, where they, you know, sort of thing, you come out from the seats and play. So embarrassing. And the only person I knew that ran their own club was Noel Fielding. And he took a risk, and I will always be in his debt for this, because he didn't know what I was going to do, so I came along and just sang my songs. Then I realised he was doing a comedy show. So I knew I'd have to adapt what I was doing and sort of make it, you know, kind of funny in some way. And that was another way of understanding an audience, you know, kind of reaction and timing and things. But it was music that I wanted to do, and it, you know, again then, not sort of thinking of acting, but just to finish this little bit of the story off. So from doing that at the Hen and Chickens with Noel, Matt and Richard came one day because they needed a Spanish doctor for a TV show, Garth Marenghi, that they were putting together. So that's how that happened, and then I had to go to the bloke who was running the dungeon, a fella called Quincy, I'll never forget him, and say, I can't come back, I've got to start this thing on Channel 4. And he says, you're going to leave us short. I was like, I don't think you understand. I'm never coming back, and I didn't. Touch wood.
Well, so I mean, you know, this was such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
But Jack the Ripper, I mean, I've noticed from your bookshelves at home, you're obsessed by Jack.
I'm not obsessed. I was given all those books by the dungeon. You had to know that stuff. And I'll tell you why, because if you didn't, there'd be someone there that did know it. And they'd say something like, how long had that body been lying there for before she was discovered? And if you didn't know, you looked like a fucking idiot, because they did. So
well, hold on. So, Hanbury Street.
Yeah.
What happened in Hanbury Street? I know this.
Annie Chapman was found on the 8th of September, 5 in the morning, by a guy called Davis.
What year?
1888, obviously. The thing is, that isn't that impressive. You all would know that if you would have worked there, because you'd have learned all this stuff and had all these books, and you had no choice. It's not that I'm into the Ripper.
He says that now.
No, I'm not. I just had to know, and it just won't shift. You know how some things shift, and you think about it, you can't remember much about it. I can remember all of that for some reason.
Well, look, let's go on to your music career, because you didn't start off as an actor.
No.
And you started off playing your guitar
Still
and
not in
singing.
some people's opinion.
Not mine, Matt, not mine.
Well, you're very kind. I love you too. You know who this is Eddie Piller. He founded Acid Jazz. If it wasn't for this guy, and I loved his stuff when I was a student in Nottingham. So his label was the only label where you could get certain kind of music. Things like Hammond, and his compilations are still some of the best, I think. Yep. Good on you.
Well, can I tell them the day that we met?
Yeah.
Because we've got a mutual friend called Johnny Owen, and Johnny, we didn't know each other, and I certainly didn't know Matt. I'd never seen the IT Crowd, never seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, and I haven't seen Snuffbox. And Johnny Owen, my friend, says, well, it was a long time ago, whoever that was. So Johnny Owen said, well, you know, my mate's done a folk album. I say, well, is it like The Wicker Man? Well, you know, you could say, all right, well, he can come in. And I didn't know who he was. So the first...
Shall I take it?
You can.
So then Johnny
Fucking
Owen then
hilarious.
said, I've given, because back then it was MySpace, and that's all that you had, you know, to basically share your stuff. And I'd put Witch Hazel on there for you know, for like free for everyone to listen to, because I didn't think I'd be signed. Anyway, he said that, Johnny Owen said that he'd given it to Eddie Piller, and I made out that was nothing. Yet I knew obviously exactly who Eddie Piller was, and that was a huge deal for me. And he said, Ed wants you to go around, and he's gonna, you know, sort of listen to it. I was like, yeah, fine, okay, we'll do that. Inside, I was like, and I walked down the steps, because in their office there were steps down to their office. It's a basement office.
Very steep.
Steep. And the first thing he saw were my cowboy boots. He's a mod, as you can well see, and cowboy boots don't fit into acid jazz and the mod scene. So he was disgusted when he saw me walk down.
I just thought, oh Christ, not another bloody idiot. And I saw these big old cowboy boots walking slowly down the stairs, because he walked slowly down. And I thought, all right, well, listen, he's here now, I've got to listen to it. And
well, shall I say, the thing about the cowboy boots is, the reason I wore them, for one sort of simple reason, was the editor of GQ was a guy called Dylan Jones, and he said every month in this magazine, what not to wear for a man. Top of this list, month after month, was cowboy boots. So I thought, fuck that guy. I'm going to wear them, and I wore them for like 10 years, every day.
We actually thought, I thought, oh, it's not bad, but I don't want him to know that it's not bad. So I kind of played it a bit cool. I said, maybe, Matt, you know, I like it, but you can be on our subsidiary folk label called People Tree, if you like.
No, and that's not, yeah, I didn't want that at all. I wanted to be on acid jazz, but I've got to also say that I had to sit as far away as I am from him now while he listened to it, and he stared at me the whole time. I'm not kidding, that's what it was like. So for about 43 minutes, or however long that first album is, he's staring, and I'm sat on his fucking sofa, and he's just looking over.
That is...
And it looked like he was waiting for it to end, which was horrendous, because I honestly thought that the best thing I'll get out of this is he might like one of the songs and just give me, you know, a 7-inch. And if he had have done it and it have all ended there, that would have been fantastic. That's all I wanted. I just wanted, you know, to be on acid jazz just for one song. So what he eventually said when it finished was, and he did it all, you know, like he does everything, all very calmly in the way.
I don't fucking speak like that.
Yes, you do. And he goes, all right, you know what, I think we'll do the old fucking thing. Let's put it out. And inside I'm like, yes, you beauty. And that was that, and that was 15 years ago.
It was a lot longer than 15 years ago.
No, I think it was about 15.
17.
Was it?
And a half. And the first record that was the first record we made, Witch Hazel, which I was massively impressed that you had Paul McCartney on the record.
He isn't on it.
But he's on the back, he's in the credits.
Yeah, I know, but that's bullshit. Actually, Peter Serafino is doing Paul McCartney. But I wasn't going to tell you that. Yeah, and that was, and he took a risk, and we got pretty good reviews for that. And then that was it, and then I've been on his label ever since.
And now, there's, in the press release, which was written by Chris Catchpole from The Enemy, ex-Enemy, that's not there anymore.
The Enemy's not there anymore, is it?
Exactly, yeah. So
is it online? Is it online now?
Yeah.
I gave up The Enemy when they wrote about
You,
no, those girls in that band. What's that band? Horrible band. Little Mix. Yeah. 4 pages in The Enemy. Thank you, goodbye. That was. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Shall I talk about this?
Not yet.
Well, then you better remember what you're going to say.
Because
Glasses, go on.
I'm reading something out because these magazines all gave Heard Noises a 4 or above star review. So Mojo, Shindig, Prog, Classic Pop, Record Collector, XS Noise, Edginess Plus, Louder Than Words, Electric Sounds, Eclectic Sounds, Super Deluxe Edition, Clash, and Brooklyn Vegan. Now I was massively surprised at this because I've liked everything that Matt's done, right? But never has it seemed to come together. Have you heard the album yet? Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about it now because does anyone know what that is?
The track.
8-track. Not a large packet of top trumps, but it looks like it. Now that 8-track came about because we said when all artists finish an album and hand an album in, we asked them what formats would you like to release it on?
So I said I want it on blue vinyl because I knew that was a pain in the arse. Pink speckled vinyl because that was an extra pain in the arse. But then I thought, to really fuck him, I'll ask for it on 8-track. And to his credit, you found someone in
Tallahassee,
in
Texas. And this is the only 8-track festival, 8-track manufacturers left in the world. And we got him and said, can we make some
50 of them. They only do sort of 50. And they all said, well, you're not going to sell 50. No one will know what the hell it is, and they won't have the thing to play on. So we announced them on Monday morning. They were gone in an hour.
Has anyone got an 8-track?
No.
1, 2,
8-track players.
Yep. I've got three.
Three.
Good on you.
He's got three. So that's
Jesus,
6 of
we've
them.
never had that before.
I've got portable to the round portable one.
Oh yeah.
And I got two.
You got one in your car.
No, I don't have a car.
Right.
I just have 3 8-tracks though, so
Good on you.
there you go.
Cool.
Wow, that is cool.
That is cool. Let me tell you about this.
Yeah.
So that cover, when we usually do album covers, they take days to sort out. They're done by a mate of mine called Ben Meadows. He's done everything that I've done, but this one I took myself on my phone.
He wasn't very happy though.
No, well,
13 album covers
he
he's
hasn't
done.
spoken to me since. So I was on my phone doing a FaceTime, and the sun was just around the back of my head. So I got rid of the person I was doing the FaceTime with, took the picture, got them back, and that's it. And it was literally done in like sort of 2 seconds.
I mean, on a phone.
Yeah, same with this. These are just things that kind of sort of mean something and have, you know, a vague kind of significance of the last few years. There's some cards from Live and Let Die, my mum and dad's first car, my fangs from What We Do in the Shadows. The reason they're there is because they have to be, I have to know where they are at all times. And the reason for that is lots of times I would start a scene on that show and not have them in. And launch into something and they go, cut! And I hear a noise from above. He doesn't have his teeth in. And then you got to start again and everyone's pissed off and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And there's a guitar effects pedal just off camera here that you can get on the gatefold. You'll see it on that. And that was given to me by Jean-Michel Jarre. I was invited to his studio in Paris to talk to him about his 50 years in the business. I don't know why I was chosen. I still don't know to this day. I've never interviewed anyone. I don't know whether I made a mess of it or not, I've no idea. But I went there. He could tell I was a fan. I'm a huge fan of his first album, Oxygen. And he said, do you want to know how I recorded it? And I'm like, yeah. And he got this old organ out and these 2 small stone vintage guitar effects pedals, very cheap at the time. And he showed me the process in which the organ went through these guitar pedals and into the desk. And my mind was blown. And I went home and a week later there was a package for me and it was one of these pedals that he'd used on Oxygen, which is very cool. And I used it on this album and I shall use it, you know, forever now.
Oh.
And I don't know what else is on there that's interesting. Oh, there's a bus that says the London Dungeon. There's some Marmite, because I like Marmite. Yeah, and the Doors organ. And that's it.
Let's talk about the album itself, because, you know, you played virtually everything on there, but you didn't play everything.
No.
So you've got a drummer. Who played drums?
Craig Blundell is the drummer.
And
He's amazing.
if you don't know him, he's played with
Stephen Wilson.
Yes, Stephen Wilson.
Everyone.
He's a prog drummer. And
Yeah, but let me just
go on.
sort something out. There's your name and like a list of instruments from the back. That isn't to be kind of flash and say, look what I can play. That's been the case because it was sort of necessity. When I first started to record, I didn't know anyone else who could play anything else. No one was really interested out of my friends. So I had to learn everything. I had to learn the bass, I had to learn the 6-string, acoustic, all keyboards. Because I literally didn't know anyone else, and I've got used to recording like that. And I liken it to painting, because I don't see there's any difference, in that if I'm painting, I don't have anyone stood next to me, for instance, saying you need to make that blue a bit darker. Do you know what I mean? So I'm in control of it the whole time. And that isn't just being a control freak as such, it's just to move things faster.
Well, it is.
Well, it is, yeah. But, you know, at the same time, you know, a painter isn't a control freak as such. So it's just so I can get the idea that's in there and on there as fast as possible. And when you're doing it all yourself, you sort of even with all the levels. Because if you've got like a band the guitarist is going to want to sort of shove his fader right up, and the drummer will want themselves to be louder. But when it's all you, you know where to put things, and there's no ego because it's all you, and it doesn't really matter, as long as it sounds good.
But before we talk about the rest of the album, I want to talk about your musical genesis, if you like. That Christmas, that when you were 8 or 7,
Yeah.
and you got that present. What was that
Well,
present?
I can't read music. I never have been able to. I can't notate stuff. I know what it is in my head and know what the chords look like, but I can't do anything further than that. And my mum and dad have no interest in music whatsoever. They still don't. The only tape my dad had in his car was of sports bloopers.
The batsman's holding the bowler's with
Yeah, all that shit. That's what he had on. Like, he didn't ever play any music really. So it's not from them, but they're so smart, my parents. They saw that I was into it in some way, and they left an organ up in my bedroom one Christmas. It's one of those kind of situations where I didn't think I had anything, and everyone else had opened theirs, and my dad did this trick sort of thing, goes, you need to go upstairs and go and fetch this from your room. And I went up, and there was this, like, old granddad's organ. And I was like, this is the best thing in the fucking world. And turned it on and started to record with it and never looked back. Got a 4-track, put things over the top of each other, and that was it. You're an engineer then, and you're off. And you don't know it, but like you can kind of mix things and stuff. And that was how the whole thing started. But I can't like read. And those that can,
Well, let's talk about the guests that you have on the album, because you have a great singer called Kitty Liv.
Yes, she's from Kitty Daisy Lewis. Do you know that band? She sings on that. She sings on a song, I've Got a Limit, which is, I had that for quite a while, and it was just my guide vocal on both sides of the argument, and it was doing my head, and I was about to scrap the thing because I was sick of listening to my own voice. Then I saw her at Rough Trade East, we both did, and she was fantastic, and she's got that late 60s sort of voice, and I said, I got this song, would you mind doing it? And she did it, and she's transformed the whole thing. Natasha Lyonne is also on it.
Do you know her?
And the reason she's on it, I've known her for quite a while, she has an unearthly voice that sounds like it's coming from the back of her head when she talks. I don't know anyone else that sounds like her. It's like The Exorcist. And she's on there, spoken word, one of the songs, but she's also on a bunch of other tracks, speaking backwards, like that you can't hear.
Not speaking backwards, played backwards, surely. It's very difficult to speak backwards. Can you speak?
She can.
But also, and this is really important for me, because I am a child of record breakers. Does anyone sing record breakers? Because most of you are too young, but apart from you. But it featured Roy Castle, right? Now, Roy Castle was a tap dancing trumpet player, was fantastic. And his son
Ben, is playing the saxophone solo on that.
Incredible saxophone.
He's great, yeah. He doesn't play the trumpet, obviously, because that's what his dad did. So he plays the sax, and he is amazing.
But best of all is S Club 70, which
that's my mum. It's actually my mum and her mates. They have this choir, this sort of village choir. They sing Christmas songs and things, and I've seen them rehearse, and I got the idea then, and I took down a little synth and some recording stuff, and got them all. There's like 30 of them. They're all pretty elderly, and I got them all to sing this middle C. And what I played and their idea of what this middle C was very different. Some were above the note, and some were underneath it, and yeah, it was just insane. So got them to sing a bunch of notes going up the scale. That goes on the sampler, and then you have your own choir. So whenever there's a spooky choir that you hear on this, it's my mum and her mates. And I've tried to explain to them what I've done, and I think they're not interested.
I'll tell you what, so Now I want to talk about your music and your television career, because, you know, Toast of London, it really is important for you musically, isn't it? Not just the theme tune, Take My Hand, which actually was on the first album. How did that come about?
Well, that's on Witch Haze, was the first track on Witch Haze. But that, when I'd done the pilot, it was time to come up with something to put over the titles, and I did the titles myself. I didn't let anyone else sort of do that, and I put Take My Hand on as the theme, because for me it was that right sort of melancholic feel, one foot in absolute sadness, you know, and one in elation. So it's got that kind of like tragic feel, which I thought was like perfect for Stephen Toast, because that's exactly what he is. He's someone who thinks he's much better than he is, but much more important. And what I did was, that was on there, and it was played to Channel 4, and they all were disgusted. And said,
Channel 4 wanted Toast.
no, yeah, hang on, I'm just getting to that. So how these things work is they, so you put on what's called like a temp, and then they listen to it and they're like, nah, you're not using that. That's just going to put everyone off. So I'm like, okay, and I knew that it would be. I just had to fight, and they did an edit and they put on Toast by Paul Young. Do you know that song? I Like a Bit of Toast, which they thought was perfect. So I had to fight, and in the end I gave in on a couple of stuff, so they had to let me have that. So that's why that's ended up on it. But if it had been up to them, it would have been that song.
But you've in each episode, certainly in the early series, the early shows, you'd had a song. It was only half a song or a short song.
Yeah.
How did that work? And were you trying to? I mean, you've used a lot of the material in future albums, but how were you doing it?
Well, it was just a huge fan of Dennis Potter, and his characters would sort of break out into song, as well as Jesus Christ Superstar. Because I sort of found it funny that someone would go, "What are you doing?" What? You know, then you get this thing out of nowhere, and I always thought that was amusing. So that's what that is. And if that little song that was written for that thing in the episode had gone well, then it would be expanded and it would end up on an album somewhere, you know, because there's no point wasting a half decent song.
Have you ever been a beekeeper? Sorry, it just popped into my head. Beekeeper. You had to be there. So, sorry. Would you? I think it's time, really, because we've given them.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm here for you. This is for you to ask whatever you want to do. And
so, can we turn the lights down? Oh,
there we are.
Oh, wow. We couldn't do this at lunchtime, so we can today. So there's a big hand waving up, right up there. Yes, you.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
So myself and my husband absolutely love you, mostly from the IT crowd because you made this house. So basically, my question is kind of two questions, so please don't like be pissed off or anything. So, question one.
Yeah.
Would you ever go on Taskmaster? Because we don't
Oh.
see you.
I don't really know. I've heard the name, but I don't know what Taskmaster is.
I thought it sounded like Techmaster. Is it?
So Taskmaster is a show that
Are you yourself on it? Is that the deal? Is it like a chat show?
I don't work for the big books, you do.
All right.
And question two is, like, this is something that, like, you'll probably be like, no, fuck off. But I would love if you shared, like a little bit of, like, your private life on Instagram. Is that something you'd ever want to do? Or
No.
And if not, why?
That was a great double question, I think.
Because this stuff's a lot more interesting.
Here's or mine?
No, this stuff, the work, I think.
Oh, okay.
But thanks.
I think we should go to that person at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, both of you, but one at a time.
I loved you on Desert Sessions. How did that come about?
Good
Good
question.
question. So, Josh Homme's been a friend for years. He's a lot like John Hamm in that he has an incredible knowledge of British comedy. He knows more than I do, as does John Hamm. And so we've been friends. And I was supposed to be on the Desert Sessions, the one before the one I was supposed to be on, but I was doing something. So I did that one, and that was done. That took as long as it did to write as it did to record. It was a lot of fun. That was done in Los Angeles. But the rest of that album's really good. There's some really good songs on that album. I'm not saying that my one is. I'm saying that the rest are really good.
Actually, remembering it, you were supposed to do more, but then lockdown happened. So, is there any more on the
Possibly,
cards?
yeah. I'll do more of that. Who was the other lad down there? We promised two.
So Matt Berry has been mean to hell over the years. Father, it's not from. Stuff like that. What would you say is your favourite?
Is my favourite what? Sorry. Meme. Thing is, I'm not on that stuff, so I don't see it.
I would. Is Ben Cairns here? Hello. Yeah. Can you come up on stage? Now, you may have seen, or you may not have seen.
Oh my God!
So, Matt, how's it going? So, you can.
Well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing up here, but yeah. I mean, the genuine article's right there, people. I don't know what the fuck this is.
That is amazing. I've seen you do it on television and on YouTube, and I just think you've got Matt's voice in the background, and you're going.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No, I've had that a lot, yeah. I've had people accuse me of doing AI and things like that, and I'm like, no, I could just really do this voice. I've been doing it for 10 years. I used to come up to somebody in my course, pretend to be you, and I'd be like, oh, what's this, Jen? Oh, don't you look good? Which is probably not the best thing to do to somebody who you're in class with. But, you know, we live and we learn. But she loved it, she thought it was hilarious. But, yeah, it's just been something I've been doing in my back pocket for years, and then somebody suggested one day, do it on TikTok, and I mean, just Matt lends everything to being hilarious. Like, well, I'm sure he probably knows himself. He picks and chooses what words he's going to say in what way, and it's astounding. Like, I can just pump something out and people find it hilarious, and I feel like I'm robbing off Matt.
Give them another burst and then fuck off.
Why don't you fuck off?
Was incredible.
Yeah, he's
Actually,
pretty good.
you know,
I
well
can't hear it
done.
myself, but I'm told.
But what I will say in reference to that is, I don't pick words to sort of add stink to, or whatever you'd call it. It comes from saying the same thing more than once, and by the fourth time I'm bored. And that's when it gets a bit of a twist. I can't tell you which one it is. I don't go through the script and work out what I'm gonna kind of, sort of like send up. It's just when I've said something too many times and I need to make it interesting for me. I know that's like a boring thing, and you probably were hoping that I would be carefully studying, but I don't. I don't really think about it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Hi there. Take My Hand was one of the first things I ever learned on piano, so I've got you to thank for that. Regarding the stuff in your acting career, do they approach you to play the songs? Like, for example, in What We Do in the Shadows, you played Take My Hand.
Well done, well noticed.
That is a good question. So in that show, it's an American show, as I'm sure you know, and again, to amuse myself, I try and get sort of British things in that they're not going to understand, hopefully not edit out. Like the first one, years ago, was some character was in front of me who had like sort of donkey jacket, fur jacket. I remember saying to Natasha, "So what's with Del Boy?" And they don't know who the fuck Del Boy is. So that stayed in, and in this new series. I don't know whether you've seen the latest one. I haven't even seen the latest, but they there was a scene where where Nandor had like lost some bet, and I said, "Bad luck, Blackadder," because I knew they wouldn't have a clue who Blackadder was. And the take my hand thing was, I was told I had like a few seconds spare, just so to play anything, as this other character would come up behind me and sort of tap me on the shoulder. So I thought, right, I'm going to play my own song here. So I played Take My Hand. And they didn't notice, and they have to pay me. Let's play. Disney.
Year of the Rabbit's one of my favorite shows. I binge watched it and then saw that there was no more of it, but that there's like on Amazon there's scenes for the next one. There's a character name in the subtitles.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to see any more of that?
I don't know. That was down to COVID and some new idiot that joined at Channel 4. I mean, it wasn't his fault. I mean, like he COVID happened. No one knew how long that was going to go on for, so they couldn't afford to, to sort of make any more. And they were about to do it. I'd have done like one more, I think, but just wasn't to be. And once something's done, then you just want to do the next thing. You want to kind of move on to something else, I think.
But I mean, people say that Toast of London and Toast of Tinseltown created some of the most fantastic characters. Clem Fandango and Danny Bear. Danny Bear. I mean,
But they are an amalgamation of actually 4 different people. In those voiceover booths, you have 2 engineers and 2 what they call creatives. And so the engineers, all they do is just sort of like turn faders up. I say all, they turn the faders up, and the creatives give you the ideas. Would that be too messy to see on screen? It'd be too many people to deal with. You've got 1 person there and 4 people, so I had to amalgamate those into 2. So Clem Fandango is the engineer as well as the creative, but that isn't like realistic, but it works for the show. And all those things that you see, they're all real, they've all actually happened. And I'll give you some, for instances, like the yes thing. That comes from years ago. One of the first voiceover jobs I got was for the Times newspaper to say The Times. And they paid me for an hour, so I had to sit there and say The Times for an hour, going, The Times, The Times, The Times. And after 15 minutes, I thought I was going fucking mad. And I'm trying to think something. Yeah, so the other one also used to happen a lot. The creators used to act like they knew how to run the recording desk and all that, and they put their finger on the button to tell you an idea, and they go, "Yeah, man, that was really good, but what I think would make it much better is..." It's like, you got to put your finger on the button and keep it on there. Sorry, yeah. Thing is, Matt, I really like that, but what I really want is... And that used to get on my tits like... Yeah, so everything that you see in that booth has pretty much happened. Yeah.
Hi, Matt, I think everyone agrees that you've got an amazing speaking voice, and we all love hearing you. But is there any chance of you taking your singing voice out on the road anywhere anytime soon?
I want to do that, and I used to do it, and then I worked for Disney, and they have what's called first position, which means that everything you do that isn't for them has to be run past them. And something like going on stage with a mic where you can say anything is something that they would not be happy with. So that's why I couldn't really do it for the last 6 years.
You don't work for them anymore.
No.
So you, in theory, we could, you could do it.
Yeah. I would like to again, yeah.
What's next?
A film, this is all I can say, shot in France using my own music.
Is Toast coming back?
The only way he would come back, do you know the British gangster films Rise of the Foot Soldier. I'd put Stephen Toast in one of those films. Not me, Stephen Toast would be one of those films. And no one would like make a big issue of him. They'd talk to him normally like he was any other character. That would be the only way I think that I'd do him again. Not because, you know, because I hate it when other people say that kind of thing, but it's because I'd want to do something else now, like we've got that, you know what I mean? And if I could do something else that was as good as that, there would be something else and that, as opposed to just going back and sort of doing that. That's the way that I see it.
What was it like to be in Star Wars?
Much like this, sat at a mic, screen. The weirdest thing about that was I was sent some of that, and there was a scene where my character came out from behind a monster, a big monster, and said something like, "What would you like me to do?" or something like that. Now, I never said that. So what they'd done is they'd made a copy of all the words and then formed their own sentence, which is scary.
What do you mean? They made it
Yeah,
up.
they can do that. Yeah, you sign that off when you do those jobs. It's just so they don't have to get you back.
They didn't get Dan then to do
Well, no,
it.
Ben could do it, yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, go
I
on.
want to ask that girl over there with the blue hat.
Yeah.
How did collaborating with Michael Cummings come about, and have you ever worked together?
Yeah, Michael Cummings had done, he actually started off doing Tomorrow's World. So that's why he was perfect for Brass Eye, because he'd actually done real dry, boring reports. And that was, you know, kind of perfect for Chris Morris stuff. So he was the obvious choice for Snuff Box. I didn't think he'd say yes. I think he would have, I thought was just going to like read it and go, there's no way I'm doing this. But he didn't. And yeah, and he's fantastic. If anyone else is doing any sort of comedy, get in touch with him, because he could say yes. Yeah.
So if Mighty Boosh returned, would Dixon Bainbridge return?
I don't know. I mean, that wouldn't be up to me. That would be up to them. It's much like the IT crowd. I cannot remember doing it. It's over 20 years ago, and I wasn't in. I think I was in like one episode of that.
A couple.
Right.
Quite a few more than just one.
Oh, right, okay. But yeah, I mean that wouldn't be up to me. You know, but it's the same thing.
Would you
I
like to?
Well, I like to do different things. Once I've done something, you know what I mean. I just want to do something else, kind of move on.
So personally, Simplicity is my favourite album.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by library music, isn't it? And it's quite a change from
Yeah.
your initial folk. Is there a particular piece of library music or TV theme music that inspired you to make that change?
Yeah, anything by Keith Mansfield, who is the big sort of KPM library man, and what he did, which he took from Motown, was accentuate the high bits with a glockenspiel and a piccolo. So you can hear it in things like Grandstand and like Wimbledon and stuff. And I've stolen that and used it everywhere. It's on there.
I did notice.
Good on you. Do you study music? Is that your thing?
No, I just really like your work.
Oh, bless you.
I'm looking into starting a library music collection since listening to your Simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
It's really
Well, Keith
inspired me.
Mansfield is the man. He wrote amazing things, and it's crazy because when you meet him, he just sounds like one of your dad's mates. He's like, "Hello, yes, okay." He had that sort of voice, and it didn't sound like the cool. I mean, because like Tarantino keeps using funky fanfare, doesn't he, for all of his films? It's in like nearly every film. And the guy that wrote funky fanfare sounds like that. It's just cool. Go on.
He's had his hand up for
Yes.
a long time.
So sorry.
I'm a big
Hi.
fan, because of my dad, he got me and my brother into you in the first place. But I wanted to ask, we're big fans of what we do.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Mark Hamill and creating the character of Jackie Daytona?
Mark Hamill was something else. I mean, anyone that's my sort of age, you know, and a bit younger maybe, Star Wars was everything. So to be told you're going to be in a scene with Mark Hamill, and not only that, he's going to hold a snooker cue like a lightsaber. Again, it was like meeting him. I just had to act as if I didn't give a shit, you know. But I really did. It was amazing. Such a buzz.
Yeah, how did working with Craig Blundell come about, and how much does he contribute to the creative?
Good question. I met him. I was supporting Stephen Wilson in the Royal Albert Hall, and I always liked his drumming. And we sort of got chatting, and we swapped numbers and things. And I was buying some cymbals in Bedford, and I don't know one cymbal for another. I just took like a picture of my phone and sent them to Craig and said, "Are these any good?" And he said, "No, they're shit. Where are you buying them from?" And I said, "Oh, just this place in Bedford." And he's like, "Whereabouts in Bedford?" And I told him, and he goes, "I'll be there." He lives in the next village to me, and I had no idea. And he's been on he's been on the last the last 5 albums. And I don't have to tell him anything. He's so good that he knows exactly what I've done, and then just comes up with the most amazing shit.
Yeah, we used to work on Drum Expos together, and he just
all
day long, relentlessly drumming.
He's ridiculous. I'm so like fortunate to know him.
You've had such a big career in acting and music. What's your favourite achievement in all of that?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question too. The albums, to be honest, because I didn't think any of this would happen, and I'm not just saying that, it's like nauseating when people do say that, but I really didn't expect any of it. And to have your own album, and not only that, to have like 10 albums now is, if you don't include live albums, some people don't include live albums. Do you include live albums?
Yeah.
Cool. So,
I think everyone does.
No, some really don't. But yeah, I would say the albums. But getting the Emmy nomination was ridiculous, because it was with Larry David and Steve Martin up against, which was the most stupidest thing I ever read when I got that.
Yeah, this person, I think.
Yeah.
Hi. So just off the back of what you were saying earlier, with the just kind of putting English phrases and kind of bits and bobs into shadows and seeing if anyone notice. We couldn't help but notice the other day when we watched quite a lot of the latest series back to back, there was 2 succulent Chinese meals referenced. Was that you, or was that the writers?
No, I wanted to get that in right from the start. In fact, I'm glad you asked that, because no one's asked about that yet. I wanted to get the whole thing in, word for word. I know I couldn't have, but Paul Sim is the showrunner for that, and I bugged him day and night for it. I said, "Look, let's just do the whole thing word for word. I can learn it. I can learn every move that guy makes." And he was like, "Well, I don't know. It's fucking crazy, man." And in the end, he sort of relented 6 years later and just gave me a couple of lines in the latest series. But I wanted to do the whole thing, much like we did the Sex Pistols. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Word for word. I wanted to do that, but with that guy. It was a lot more interesting.
Well, it was appreciated in our house, I can tell you.
Oh, bless you. It would have been, yeah.
You mentioned Larry David just a moment ago. What was it like working on Curb, and what was the creative process like?
It was insane. I've got to say. Because he wanted to be in Toast. He told someone else that he wanted, that he really loved that show, and we found out, and then we got him involved. And he doesn't he doesn't put himself in anyone's show. So that was the biggest thrill ever. I never thought that was going to happen until it actually did. I was thinking, this is bullshit. They've all lied to me. He hasn't seen Toast, and then he got me out there to do his show, and he's an extraordinary man, and he does something which I've never seen anyone else do. When he's not filming and in between the things that he's meant to do, he just kind of switches off like that. He just sits in a heap. And then when it's his time, he just bursts on, and it's like someone's put something through him. It's and he's not an elderly man then. He's as much energy, as you and me. And that took me aback the first time he did that. I was like, Jesus Christ. And he was extraordinary and so generous, and let me go on about him having herpes and having more hair on his arse than he has on his head. Yeah.
You've explored quite a few different musical styles on your various albums. Have you got any more sort of musical itches, different styles you'd like to try on different future albums?
Maybe. I've bought an Akai sample, you know, the old-fashioned with the sampling pads, DJ Shadow.
NBC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I sort of want to do a whole album just using that. I've got to learn it properly. I know how to use it a bit, but I want to get, yeah, that's the next thing I think I
You
want to do.
actually did a Brit Funk album, didn't you?
I didn't do Brit Funk.
Well, you did.
No, I did one song.
All right. Well,
it sounds like Duran Duran.
Yeah.
For KPM. Yeah.
So you played so many like distinct characters. What would you say is like the one you relate to the most, and in what way do you relate?
I think not relate to, but the one that was the most fun because you could do the most with him would be Toast, I would say, because I'd been around so many actors like him, and that I had so much to sort of draw from. He expects to be a lot more respected and taken a lot more seriously than he is, which is the way of a lot of actors. So it was really easy to kind of portray him, I would say. But they've all been fun. You know, I mean, like Laszlo was so much fun because I got on with everyone else there. You know, and they gave me the space, you know, and each other the space to do all kinds of silly shit.
Hello.
Hello.
2 questions.
Yeah.
First of all, how the fuck are you in a coat and not sweating?
Because I'm not feeling 100%. I've got a slight cold, and I think this might get rid of it.
I will let you off then in that case.
Good on you. Yeah.
Obviously, you do a lot of comedy. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever seen A Kunk on Earth. Like a sort of piss-take nature documentary sort of thing. Because I could very much see you being a piss-take David Attenborough.
Okay.
I think it would fit you very well. Would you ever sort of do anything like that?
You've done it.
I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Not if she's doing it and she's doing well. I haven't been in the UK for such a long time that I'm so behind on so much stuff and feel like a prick every time someone says, "Have you seen?" Because I haven't. There's so much stuff that I've not seen.
Taking the piss out of like a flock of penguins or something.
All right, I did that with Bob. Yeah, yeah, I did that with Bob Mortimer. That was the wolf stuff and all. Yeah, the BBC Nature stuff. Yeah, I did it a few years ago.
Would you ever do anything like that again?
If he wanted to, I'd only do it with him. Yeah. But a lot of that was his idea. All that sort of ghosts come from the sea and all that stuff. He's amazing. He really is. Yeah.
How do you do all of what you do? Because you've got 10 albums plus 3 live albums. You've got all your comedy, your writing, your acting, and painting.
Yeah.
I didn't know about. How do you feel? I've got a real problem with time management, and I just like, you must be an actual vampire to fit all of this in. You must not sleep.
No, I mean, the way TV works is it's shot in like a big or small kind of lump, and then there's a gap between you go back and doing the next lump. So if I can sort of time it all right, and I know exactly what I'm going to be doing next, I can finish that and go straight into that, and start to kind of prep whatever that is in my head when I'm coming to the end of something like Shadows. So the last week of doing Shadows will be spent thinking about what I'm doing, but the other half of the brain will be, I need to find someone who has 2 tambourines, you know, or whatever it is. So that's how it works. It just kind of, there's always something going around. So then when I can hit the ground running when I get back to the UK and start these things.
He's actually a workaholic. He didn't
I'm
admit
not.
it.
That's what it fucking said in the Times. I'm not. No, I just love doing it. I mean, I have like, because it says something else in there about never goes on holiday. But the thing is, if I've been abroad for like 5 months and you come home, I don't want to go anywhere for a bit. You know what I mean? I want to stay at home for a bit, and that's when these things happen. And yeah, it's just I just love doing it.
It's not work if you love doing it.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah.
Hi. Question for both of you actually. So I know that one of your kind of most influential albums is Tubular Bells, and through my band I've been fortunate enough to befriend Luke Oldfield, who's Mike's son.
Okay.
So we regularly record with him at the Tile House, which was one of Mike's kind of hubs for recording.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by loads of cool vintage gear, so I wanted to know from both of you what's kind of your favourite piece of gear and like your dream piece of gear that you maybe don't own?
From Tubular Bells.
No, just gear that you own and gear that you like.
Well, that's good because when I came back in May from finishing the last season of what we do in the shed, I was made aware that Ian Bernson, who played the guitar solo on Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights and over the album, that guitar was up for sale, and I'm like, I'm getting that. I need the Kate Bush guitar, solo guitar, and
What is it? What mate?
a Les Paul 1974 Custom, which is also the year I was born, so this was meant to be, and my penis was hard. Anyway, I found out the day after the auction had closed and someone else bought it, so I was fucked off like you wouldn't believe. But I will get it. I'll find that person, whoever he or she was, and I shall purchase it.
He's got great experience of working with Luke, the son of, and you've talked about him before, but you've not spoken about
Well,
him
if Luke
tonight.
wants to sell Mike's Farfisa organ, I'll buy that.
I think we're about to use it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, you beauty.
I'll,
Because that Farfisa organ is so important to me because it's the Professional, which sort of came out in the early 70s. It was also used on Oxygen, and it's the organ sound on In Every Dream Home a Heartache by Roxy Music. So I've got one, but I want that one.
That's the question. After we use it.
Please. I'll buy it off you.
No, I'll have to.
Cool. Good on you. Thanks.
We're seeing him in March, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, excellent. All right, yeah. Hi there. What was that?
Do you like to play?
I like touring with the Maypoles because then I've got someone to talk to. It's like this. This has been fun because I can talk to him. Yeah, it's best to be with me.
You're not actually talking to me, you're talking to the audience.
I know, but I'm talking to you when we go back there. Or at least I'm attempting to. Yeah.
Hi, me again. Who's your biggest musical influence? Because obviously your sound is a bit like, it's not the most.
All right, I'll answer it. Mike Oldfield is one of them, and I'll tell you why. Because I was 13 or 15 when I first heard Tubular Bells, and I looked on the back and I saw how many instruments he played. He played the whole album. He'd done the whole thing himself, and he was 17 or 18 when he did that, which was like 2 or 3 years older than I was when I first heard it. So that was a case of thinking, I have no excuse, and if he can do that, then I need to get off my ass and get on with it. So yeah, he was the biggest influence, I think.
Matt, no, look, because Matt has a few records to sign, we've only got time for three more questions, that's it.
Alrighty.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, Matt. 2 questions.
No,
one.
like that.
Otherwise I'll get the arsehole.
This most recent season, don't want to spoil it, but you worked with Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
Just what was that like, man? Because I've always loved him growing up and I've loved yourself in different shows. What was it like working with him?
Well, I'd worked with him on a thing called Saxondale. So I'd worked with him in the past, and he played my father in What We Do in the Shadows. And I think that annoyed him because he's not that much older than I am, yet he looks it. No, but he was great, you know, it was an honour.
No, down there.
All right. Who? All right, sorry, yeah.
What's your favourite album ever, like, that you don't skip or... Like,
Tubular Bells is. Yeah, I don't find it dull. There's too much sort of chaos on it that it's rich enough not to get bored with, I think. There's a few like that. Bitches Brew is another one. I don't get bored with that. You could put that on any point in it and still, you know, feel up.
Now this might be the last question. You there.
You mentioned Natasha Lyonne doing spoken word on this album.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if
you often write poetry, or if it was specific just for this album?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff is. What normally happens is the melodies can kind of suggest a vibe, you know, with which you sort of write to. Occasionally, I'll think of something about something either very unpleasant that's happened, or you know, or whatever, and then that is written down on its own, and then that will be used to make work around a melody at that point. So yeah. Anyone
My
else?
last one. Someone over here was.
There's one.
That one. No, that one. You.
Yeah, I'm doing it for him, sorry. He's not got a long arm.
If you could collaborate with any artist, who would it be?
That's good. I don't know, like, I wouldn't want to get involved too much, but there's bands I'd like to just insert, you know, an essence of what you're doing. I don't want to stamp all over someone's stuff, you know, or be too big, but there's bands like Beach House, just something, you know what I mean, just kind of something subtle, and then just sort of, you know, just kind of get out. Bands like that, I think. Yeah. Maybe Tennis. Big fan of Tennis.
Now I think that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you clap.